So I'll be the first to admit, when it came to the 2023 Hellfire Gala, man, I was this close from not even purchasing the thing. But you know what saved it? This J. Scott Campbell variant cover. When I saw that cover, I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy it just for the cover, and I'll be lucky to read it. Am I going to want to read an 80-page book of another Hellfire Gala? And then, when it came to my comments on my newest comic book haul, people were saying, you should do a review on that, Mike. And I'm like, why? Is it that bad? And then I got done reading this, and I said, holy shit. Guys, I'm Mike Spider Slayer. This is Comic Book Corner 2.0. Welcome back to the channel. If you love daily comic book content, if you love me helping you make decisions on what comic books to buy, guys, please hit that subscribe button. Now, let's talk about the 2023 Hellfire Gala. Was this book worth the admission of $8 for 80 pages? Or $9 for 80 pages, I should say? Oh yeah, it definitely was. So let's talk about it. So here's your warning. There's definitely going to be spoilers when it comes to this comic book because I want to have a full discussion in the comments section below. And for the people that didn't read this book or did not want to spend the $9 on the comic book, I want them to be able to get the full effect of what happens here. And maybe they'll go out there and read the full story for themselves because this is not your regular X-Men comic. In fact, this is a dream come true for me when it came to reading this book. Now, to kick this whole thing off, I did think that this book in the beginning was a little slow and it took a little while to get to where it needed to get to, but once it got to that point, it did not let off on the pedal. Now, the artwork in this book is actually really good, and we'll showcase some of the artwork right from the start. And it's done by a lot of different artists in here. And the writer here is Jerry Duggan. And my hat's off for Jerry Duggan, obviously, for pulling off everything that was going on in here. But I love the way the characters looked, how they dressed. Characters looked very sexy in here and whatnot. And this book literally begins as just like every other, Hellfire Gala issue. That's why I was so hesitant about buying this. Now, we've been hearing about the fall of the mutants or the fall of X for quite a while now, and I didn't realize that major implications were going to happen. Now, you guys realize that I have a lot of dislike for what's going in the X-Men comics right now. I've been waiting for the destruction of Krakoa and the resurrection protocols and stuff like that, okay? So this book opens up with something that I could not stand right from the start, okay? We already have the return of Ms. Marvel. She literally just died 2 issues ago in Amazing Spider-Man. And in fact, if you read this week's Amazing Spider-Man issue, okay, Osborn's sitting there going, man, I really miss Kamala on how she brought my coffee and everything. And in this issue, she literally makes her return here. And you're just kind of like, really? They went there with this already? Like, I could not believe it. And she's here right from the start, right? And they go into this whole explanation about how she is a mutant, how Cerebro detected that she's a mutant. So not only is she an Inhuman, but she is a mutant as well, and her mutant abilities did not kick in yet. So that's why, I don't know, I guess that's why she wasn't a mutant before and she was Inhuman first, because she was clouded by the Terrigen Mist, when she was first created. So she's both. Okay, so you wind up getting her back, and then you get a lot of stuff with a lot of people talking about them going to announce the new team of the X-Men and things like that, and you get to see all these different character interactions. Again, the characters look great. I thought Mystique looked beautiful. Kate looks nice. Like, again, it was nice to look at the characters. The book is very bright and vibrant. But again, it's very slow in the beginning. There's a lot of talking. There's a lot of narration. There's just a bunch of talking heads. And in the beginning, you're just like, okay, where are we going to go with this? But then all of a sudden, the Avengers, they wind up getting this distress signal, and they wind up leaving the party, and teams start splitting up and things like that. But while the Avengers are on their duty, we're getting announced another new team of but X-Men. And at this point, you're like, oh my God, here we go again. We're changing the X-Men again. I think this is the third year in a row that we're doing it. And Jean Grey and Scott Summers are stepping down as leaders. And you're like, no, man, come on. Like, where are we going with this? Who's going to be the X-Men team now? So you wind up getting announced your new X-Men team. And that starts off with Sync and Talon, who is the old lady Wolverine, or Laura. They're going to be the leaders. They take place of Jean Grey and Cyclops. And you're like, oh, man. All right. And then what's next? You wind up getting Prodigy, Cannonball, Frenzy, Dazzler, which is okay. But then you got Jubilee, who has the same powers. Okay? And then you have Juggernaut. It's like the worst team ever. And I'm like, this can't be for real. And here it is. They wind up getting announced right there. And you see them all there. And you're just like, what? And they're all celebrating and they're all happy. And as a reader right now, I'm sitting there going, this sucks. I'm like, we got freaking Miss Marvel that's back. We got this new shit-tacular X-Men team. This is going to be more of the same. And then the next thing you wind up seeing, boom, this is when the comic freaking blows up. And you're just like, yes, I've been saved. I love this. And you wind up seeing Nimrod come through with his team of Orchis people and just destroy the team. And they don't just get like destroyed, like get thrown around. They get killed. Like they physically get killed. This is an unexpected attack. They've been planning this for years. They said they've been planning this for previous galas on how to stop all of the mutants, all their contingencies. You know, they stopped them all. And one of the first people that was going to stop them was Ileana, maybe transport them somewhere. But they poisoned her to the point to where it was like this nanotechnology to where she could not like use her portals and whatnot. So it's like her powers are mute. They can't work, right? And then you wind up getting freaking Iceman. And so he winds up starting to battle freaking Nimrod, right? And so he goes toe-to-toe with the dude, and you're just like, man, now you know why he's such an Omega mutant, you know? And it's just like he starts kicking his ass, but then all of a sudden this ray beam happens, and it starts melting him from the center of the core. And the dude just literally melts right in front of you. He's just like this, and you're just like, no way, freaking Bobby is dead. Like, Iceman is dead, right? And you're like, God, that's totally insane. So now all of a sudden you start seeing the mutants back really against the wall. So Jean Grey sits there and goes and throws Juggernaut into the mix to do battle against Nimrod to keep him occupied. You get to see Sync, whose back is against the wall. You wind up getting to see Dr. Stasis, which is like a clone of Mr. Sinister and his clone of his wife and shit like that. And then you got MODOK, who's in there. He's part of the Orchis team. So they all have their little roles to play to stop these mutants. And what Orchis did is they tampered with the portals, right? So now I'm giving you all this in-depth review because in case you haven't read X-Men in a long time, you kind of know what's going on, because if you read at least Powers of 10, House of X, you know what's going on. Okay, keep going. So they mess with these portals, and so the portals are messed up, but what they did is, if you remember, that the X-Men created these pharmaceuticals. Well, MODOK messed with these pharmaceuticals, so now if you ingested these or took these pharmaceuticals, you could have these people, you know, commit suicide and stuff like that. So they basically own the mutants at this point. So you get to see all these battles, they're commencing and doing all these crazy stuff, and you think that maybe the mutants are going to going to succeed because they start destroying all the Stark Sentinels that were created by that other mutant that's going on in Iron Man right now. But the biggest thing that you wind up seeing is that a building starts to collapse, and Jean Grey sets in, and she sits there and stops the building from falling. She stops all the people from falling into the ocean and dying. And she literally says, no more people will die today. I'm sorry this has happened to all our friends and family. And you think like, oh shit, here's the cheese factor coming in. You know, she's going to save the day. They're going to prevail, because you start seeing them overtake the mutants and stuff like that. Well, just kidding. The person that comes in like a stealth, undercover, not even freaking, being detected, is Moira McTaggart. And she sits there and she stabs Jean Grey in the back, like literally, and the chick is dying. And she reaches out to Angelica, and it looks like she's trying to put something in her brain to make her like a mole for Orchis and a traitor towards the X-Men, so she can get the inside scoop of everything that's going on and maybe how to stop this group. But we wind up seeing Orchis basically has Professor X by the balls and says, you know what? This is what you're going to do. You're going to get rid of all your mutants. They're not going to be on Earth. You're going to get rid of them right now, because if you don't, what we're going to do is we're going to kill the humans on Earth because of what they did to the pharmaceuticals. And what's going to happen is the X-Men are going to be traitors. They stop these Sentinels, and Orchis is going to be the new heroes of Earth. Otherwise, if they don't, all the humans will die, the mutants will die, and so Professor X does nothing but, he has no choice. His hands are tied. He tells all the mutants to leave, so they wind up going through the portals, and it looks like they're going to go to Araco, which is the Mars place now. And let's just say that things didn't fall in his favor. They kind of betrayed him anyway. You wind up seeing Jean Grey die. Scott Summers is like, what? What happened to you? And you wind up seeing Wolverine hang around, and he's pissed off, and he starts doing some battle against some of the AIM soldiers or the Ochre soldiers or whatnot. MODOK's laughing. He's like, yeah, we succeeded, blah, blah, blah. And you wind up seeing a handful of mutants wind up leaving, going to the old Hellfire place. You wind up seeing the Five, the Resurrection. They're off the board. They went through the portals before the portals were shut down, so you have no idea where they're at. They can't resurrect anybody right now. So for right now, it looks like there's a bunch of mutants that are dead, and I don't know when they're going to come back. And hopefully, you know what? They don't come back. That's what makes this comic so great, is because we finally got to see Professor X back against the wall. And there was stakes, there was people that got killed, they couldn't resurrect them right off the bat, and this is what I've been waiting for so long. This book was done really well. The best X-Men book I have read in quite some time. I want to say basically since the House of X and Powers of 10. This was a phenomenal read, full of action, full of emotion. You are pissed off in the beginning because you're having this gala, but the whole party turns. And if you're a villain guy, and sometimes you like seeing the villains win, this book is for you. But you feel the pain and the anguish that Professor X is going through, because everything that he's worked for, everything that he's built has crumbled and fall apart in a moment's instance. It's freaking brilliant, dude. I totally love it. And I loved Rogan here at the end of this. And Professor X cannot find any mutants because it looks like they corrupted those portals and they're all dead. This is a book that you must read. Again, there's a couple outlier mutants in here that are still looking like they're going to be players moving forward here, like Emma Frost's group that wound up escaping to the old Hellfire grounds. You still see Wolverine in there. You wind up seeing Angelica Firestar, who again was, kind of persuaded by Jean Grey before she died to do her MO, and Kitty Pryde before she couldn't go through those Krakoan portals. But you know what happened? As soon as it became solid, she went right through, and she winds up in some other country surrounded by Orchis soldiers, and she's going to have to do battle with them. So if you notice the next issue of X-Men, it's going to be about her and where she ends up. This is a must read. This is absolutely a phenomenal read. if you want to get the full experience out of it. It's not a perfect book. Like I said, I didn't agree with the whole Miss Marvel thing. I thought it was a cop-out right before the whole Fall of X thing happened, but it is what it is. Water under the bridge at this point. Let's move on with the X-Men. How are they going to recover from this? I don't know. This is a big blow. I really enjoyed it. And to think that I almost passed on this comic, I would have hit myself because, you know, sometimes you never know when these books can surprise you. But I thought the story by Jerry Duggan was awesome. The artwork by all the different artists were really good. And again, please, if you haven't read it and it's still on the racks, definitely read it so you can get the next chapter of what's going to happen in the X-Men. And hopefully it's for the better. So if I had to rate this comic, guys, I'm going to rate this one not an A+, but I'm going to rate this one a solid A. Really good read. So guys, if you love my content, please make sure you check out more. That's all I have to say. And don't forget, guys, as always, keep buying, keep collecting, but always remember, read your comics. I'll see you real soon. Take care. Bye.